This is Melody Kramer, and today we're going to be talking about ethics for virtual lawyering. There's a lot of ethical opinions out there regarding the intersection between the practice of law and new technical developments. Today we're just going to talk about two aspects, and that is the entirety of having a virtual law firm. Is that ethical? What are the rules that apply to that? And then specifically looking at the issue of cloud computing, having your files kept in the cloud as opposed to in a filing cabinet. You'll find that all of the ethical considerations regarding virtual law practice seem to center around the same 5 core ethical considerations. So we'll be spending some time on that before going into all of the different quirks that come up with different ethical opinions in different states. So the ABA Formal Opinion 498 does have a discussion about virtual practice and explain that it is permitted, but what lawyers really need to pay attention to are these key ethical rules: competence, diligence, communication, confidentiality, and supervision. So let's talk about those requirements a little bit. The competence, diligence, and communication aspects are really just saying that whether you're practicing out of a brick and mortar law firm or virtually, your obligations to the client remain the same. You are supposed to reasonably consult with them and talk to them about how objectives are going to be met in the case, keep them informed on status and progress of their legal matter. And they need to make sure that all of the structure is in place to protect the client's work and what you're doing for them. What I've seen in my practice on this front is the fact that communication with your clients needs to be adapted to what is going to fit with their mode of communication, and we can't just assume that our preferred mode of communication is going to match theirs. It used to be that if you wanted to have a conversation with your client, they would come into your office and you'd sit and talk to them face to face, or sometimes you'd get them on the phone and talk to them that way. Those modes of communication have become more and more infrequent as we have the increase in virtual law practices. This has especially become the case during the pandemic, where face-to-face meetings almost entirely stopped. What I've found, though, is the real need to communicate with your client and both ask them directly and figure out just from how they communicate with you what the best way is to convey information to them in a way that they understand it. For me personally, I would be happy to conduct the bulk of my business via email because that is comfortable to me, keeps a record of what's going on, and which is easily accessible. And I'm on email all the time anyway, so I know when communications come in. However, I have figured out that there are certain clients that just doesn't work. They don't check their email that often. Maybe their email box is overflowing with emails from other sources, and they just don't want to have their legal matters conveyed in that way and in that place. For some clients, the best mode of communication is to pick up the phone and talk with them and get instant feedback on whether they understand what you're talking about and give you decisions on what you want. For some situations, a Zoom call might be better, where you can show them documents and various informations and also see their faces while they are interacting with you. Keep in mind that your clientele is probably going to come from a varying range of ages and familiarity with technology. For example, with millennials for sure, and even some a bit older than that, texting is a usual mode of communication and might even be a favored mode of communication for at least simple matters. However, if your client is a baby boomer, odds are they don't want to get messages by text. Talk to your client up front about these things to make sure that you are meeting your ethical obligations of conferring with and communicating necessary information to your client.